Hi, this is Mela Lee, Jade in Mortal Kombat, Lifeline in Apex Legends, and Dex on Netflix Cannon Busters. And you're listening to the Blerd Grounds podcast.
What is going on, good people of the internet? My name is James Portis, and we are here for the brand new episode of Blerd Grounds, the show where we, as African-American nerds, blerds, whatever you want to call us, we are here talking about the stuff that we care about. We are here doing this and doing the damn thing and having a great time this evening, talking about things that are going on. This week, we don't have a hardcore main topic to talk about. We might give some thoughts on a couple different things, and then we'll be back with a more like heavy topic episode next week. But we obviously missed a week. It was my birthday last Thursday, and I chose to take that off.
Happy birthday!
I chose to take off because I didn't know. That was my day, and I appreciate my team for understanding. So Thank you guys for doing that and being down with that. But we are here. We are here for a brand new episode, and we are going to dig into it. Before we do, let me introduce you to my amazing cast with characters. Like I said, my name is James Portis. We have starting from the bottom and working our way up, like Drake once said. We have the hard-working metallurgy man himself, Travis. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I found an IQ-dropping, caveman-slamming death metal album today, so that's been fun.
Why is IQ
that
dropping?
Does sound fun.
It's hard to explain. It's so heavy that you
brain.
make that. You make that really just dumbfounded face, almost like you're growling at the music. Yeah.
See, I can't get down with music that I can't even understand what you're saying. Like, it's one thing if you're a different language, because some different French music is really fucking awesome. I love classical music, but I can't even understand your character going, "Oh, my soul is," I'm like, I can't rock that. That's why I tell people I love every kind of music besides death metal and polka music. I listen to anything else.
Oh man,
I will listen to just about anything as long as it's melodically pleasing.
Fair enough.
Hey, I got tons of death metal for that.
Heck yeah.
And then above him, we have the hard-working man himself taking care of today's youth and doing the damn thing. We have Marcus. How you doing this evening?
I'm tired, but I'm here. What's up, y'all?
I feel that. I feel that on a spiritual level. I am drinking my cider and not caring.
And Travis, I feel you. When I hear just some ignorant gangster-ass rap that makes you want to drop out of school and quit working.
Yes.
And just hit the block and start pumping my community full of drugs. That's I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, see, I'm a hip hop fan too, so it happens for both. And I'm going to my 9 to 5, listening to drug dealing music, like I'm the shit.
Right. Like in my head, I'm moving packs.
Oh my god. I mean, at least we're not Birdman's rhyming the N-word with the N-word, but that's bruh. There is a specific song. It is called "Have It Your Way." It's on the Rich Gang album. It's Lil Wayne, Birdman, and T.I. And Birdman comes in on verse 2, and he spends 16 bars. Because he has a 30. Is it either 8 or 16? And he spends all that time just saying different sentences and then putting the N-word at the end of them. There is no scheme, there is no bars, there is no nothing. And when I was trying to rap when I was in college, I said, I'm never going to to do this, ever. This is the worst thing grammatically that I've ever seen in my entire life. No.
James, I hate to break it to you, but that happens more often in rap now than you think.
Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, this is why I still listen to 2000s rap. There's some new stuff that I mess with, but I stick to my old stuff. I still listen to T-Pain. I don't give a crap.
I love T-Pain.
T-Pain's
I
a
always love
legend.
T-Pain.
Like that man was in a monster suit on Masked Singer. I love him.
Yeah, no, that was so good. I was shocked though. I feel
He can
really
sing his ass
ashamed.
off.
I
Sing his
know.
ass off.
Speaking of which, the next person up on our beautiful cast is the fantasy-oriented Jasmine. How you doing this evening?
Hello, I'm also tired. I spent today apartment hunting in Portland.
Nice.
I'm having a lot of fun. I'm in my Airbnb currently, so if I sound echoey, that's
Ooh.
why.
Ooh,
Look
sounds
at you living the
fun.
life.
I'm doing my best.
Hopefully, we don't see you on the 10 o'clock news get murdered in the Airbnb.
Wait a minute.
Thanks, James. Thanks.
Dude.
I appreciate that.
Bro,
really
they're so dude. No, it was so
0
funny.
to 100.
Right, real quick.
That's an inside joke because our social media manager Andre, he went to a wedding like a month ago, and him and our old college friend Malcolm were like everybody because they're the only brothers at the wedding except for the black girl who was getting married to the dude that we all went to college with, and everybody except for those two got to stay at the rich fancy hotel, and they had to go to an Airbnb out in the country. And I was like, don't y'all get murdered in a horror movie, y'all?
You moving to Portland, Oregon?
Geez.
Yeah,
No,
Portland, Oregon.
I mean,
Ooh, I've been there a few times. It's awesome.
It's gorgeous out here. I'm really excited.
I'll be in Portland in a month.
Hey, meet up.
Just missed each other.
Powell's should be your church, man.
It is my church. It is.
Thank you.
Absolutely my church, and I'm planning on going tomorrow.
What's Powell's?
I bought all of my
It's
Luther
the
Strokes
best
from Powell's.
store in existence. It's so good.
It's like
like a
4
city.
stories.
It's amazing.
Okay.
Have you been to the Rare Books room yet?
No.
Ah,
I know. I have a lot of places to hit on my list. I haven't yet because I was there for about 15 minutes the last time I was here. Okay, and I'm planning on spending like 3 hours in this place.
yeah. They got comics, manga. They got literally everything.
They have everything. It's literally an entire city in there. I'm so excited. Oh my god. Anyway, sorry.
All right, no problem. And then the last person on our amazing cast is the Doctor himself, but not Doctor Who. My man Aaron Jones. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Got the sniffles, but I'll be all right. We'll get through this.
Oh no.
All right. And hopefully you survive long enough for you and Jasmine to work together after the show on our secret project that will be our winter finale. So that we got some good stuff coming up for you here on this podcast. So we are going to start. Before we get into our first topic, which is a little bit somber of news. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Blerd Grounds. Don't forget to follow the website on Comics Ground on Twitter and Instagram at on Comics Ground, and make sure you check this podcast. Overcast, wherever you can listen to a podcast besides SoundCloud, you can catch us out because we don't like SoundCloud, and we appreciate SoundCloud rappers, but we don't like SoundCloud as a platform. So there's that. And
I don't appreciate SoundCloud rappers.
You don't appreciate SoundCloud rappers?
I appreciate
keep
some of
them.
them.
Keep them away from me.
Think about their legacy.
Oh my god! I'm done.
Yikes.
All right. And that's everything. Okay, cool. I cover my bases. We are good. So we went from that great laughter into this sad news. So, Dr. Jones, please, take the stage.
Yeah, we just want to take a moment to acknowledge that today we lost a soldier and as Martin Luther King would say, a drum major in the Band of Justice, Elijah Cummings. He was a representative in the House, and he's passed away today at the age of 68. And he's just been known as someone who has been out there, not just in the being a representative, but also being out there in the streets with people. He would march, and he's been doing this work for decades. Very well known in the DMV, DC, Maryland area. Got all his degrees in that area, and has been working with folks as a community organizer, and then joined and has been as well like the head of the caucus, congressional caucus, and currently had been serving as the chair of the House Oversight Committee, really getting started on this impeachment inquiry and trying to make that happen. And, it's still, going to happen. And we're, hopefully they're still kind of trying to make inroads in that way. But, it's a very sad thing to see someone who has been so behind this work and this fight get lost. But, we're going to keep moving and making it happen. But we just wanted to take a quick moment to, a moment of silence for him and for the work that he's done. All right, thanks. So just want to move on to the next topic, but just don't forget and always kind of remember that the work continues, and it's people like Elijah Cummings that are the reason why we do this kind of work. But like, we're having these conversations because we're inspired by folks like him.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well said, bro. Well said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll start it off with something a little bit somewhat good, but also controversial, and then we'll get into the controversial, and then we'll have a little bit of good stuff towards the end. So we'll go from sad to up to down and sideways, and we'll have a little bit of fun.
It's a roller coaster.
Yes, most def. So,
Roller coaster.
Oh
oh my God.
I apologize.
All right. So the big thing that happened this past week that everyone was excited about was, in fact, that actress Zoe Kravitz has been cast as Catwoman in the new upcoming Matt Reeves Batman movie. And honestly, Twitter has been a trash fire this past week because of this. And now granted, hats off to folks like Anne Hathaway and Halle Berry, even though Halle Berry, we don't talk about that movie. We appreciate you in spirit, and you can go back to wearing white wigs and be stored, please. Thank you. But we appreciate you, but no. But we appreciate people like her and Hathaway like paying their respects to Zoe Kravitz taking on this role. But the controversy has come in from the very racist charged idiots that are trying to put out the hashtag not my Catwoman.
Okay.
And it's starting to be very concerning because let's start off the conversation with the tweet that I put in the group chat a little while ago. Which I'm not going to post their Twitter handle. We're not going to put nobody on blast. It just says the Batman movie race swaps Catwoman by casting Zoe Kravitz. Hashtag not my Catwoman. Hashtag not my Selena Kyle. Hashtag too much coffee. And now when I read that last hashtag, the first thought that I have is back to when if for anybody who watches The Breakfast Club, there's that one button that Charlamagne the God presses where it says too much goddamn mayonnaise, and I feel like that's what they're trying to reverse that here of saying that when someone's too white, but also in this case they're saying too black, but at the same time we already have. I don't want to give Halle Berry credit, but I have to. We already have had two black women, strong black women, mind you, who have played Catwoman. You have Halle Berry, which we don't talk about that movie, and we also have Eartha Kitt, God rest her soul. You are going to tell me that you have beef with Eartha Kitt being Catwoman in the freaking Adam West Batman movie? You have no beef with that, but you have beef with Zoe Kravitz? Excuse me?
Fake nerd boys. Oh,
fake nerd boys.
Ooh.
Hey.
I like how you just flipped that on its head. Jasmine, speak on it.
Oh, no, I didn't say anything. I'm only saying that if you don't know your history, you don't get to talk.
Ooh.
Right.
Ooh. Now, what would you say?
She's right there.
She's right there. But that also leads to the conversation of the folks who are trying to throw that at and call people fake gamer girls. So why don't you speak on that for a second?
Oh God. Okay, that's a long conversation. I don't think we have time for it. But here are the cliff notes. Here are the spark notes for you. Okay. Once upon a time, it was ostracized to be a nerd. It's still kind of ostracized, but it was to the point where it was like inciting violence and stuff. And so nerd boys specifically, in a very heterosexual way, I'm just going to use this as an example because this is what formed the society. And obviously when I'm talking about like gamer culture or nerdist culture, I'm talking about like heterosexual boys who have no idea how to act around girls, specifically. I'm just saying, don't give me that look. When that came about, it was rare for girls to be interested in that sort of thing, according to boys. Girls have always been nerds. I don't know where this mentality came from, but it felt like a protected community, and you could only be into the community if you could prove that you were nerdy enough to be in it. Because obviously, if you were just posing to get in someone's pants, then that can be damaging to someone's psyche and blah, 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 blah. Basically, the mentality was that if you weren't smart enough to be a nerd, then you didn't get to be, because it's a gatekeeping, nasty, ugly mentality. That's it. That's all. Girls have always been nerds. Girls have always been into nerdy stuff. I don't know why. I was a nerd my whole freaking life.
We'll have to have another episode on that later, and we'll like bring in some guests.
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole other conversation.
Most def. So, in terms of that, though, you just spoke some truth on the table, which is the fake dudes are acting like they know everything about Batman and stuff, but then don't even know about Eartha Kitt. So,
or Halle Berry, which is, I mean, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, we like okay.
Honestly, Halle Berry was my Catwoman, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, but like, okay.
Can we address the really big part of his hashtag there, that too much coffee? No, I'm sitting here seething over that right now. I'm so mad because I come from a place where these the racism is blatant. It's not the sugar coated. It's not. I don't mean to be racist, but I'm gonna say it. And if it's racist, what are you gonna do? Type of stuff. And so
earlier, I had to explain it to Travis, and he got so pissed.
So when I hear someone be like, too many blacks, you know what I mean? I hear too many N-words, and I'm like, are you kidding me? We've already had 2 black Catwomen. So I'm not understanding where this whole confusion comes from, and it's just a real example of how your neurons are misfiring.
And I don't understand how coffee ruins Catwoman somehow. Like, what? How does that work? Like,
see, when I hear that, when I hear too much coffee, my immediate thought is Luke Cage, and I know that's bad, but like that whole thing, like, we're gonna go get some coffee. But like that's me turning that negative into a positive. But like, I just. Like, the idea of, like, that's the thing, though. Like, after that show came out, I started to hear too much coffee a little bit more prevalently. The idea of them trying to say, like, too much blackness in my thing. And I'm like, that's really bothersome. Like, why does it matter?
So bothersome.
And the thing is,
bro,
this even goes back to our whole episode about race changes, where we even as a group even admitted, like, hey, even characters that have been played by multiple white actors before, we'll kind of give you a bit of a pass. Like, it's still kind of weird that we can't have our own stuff, but we'll give you more of a pass because it's a new interpretation. Now, I think it's hilarious that, like, other than the new casting for the Riddler that we've got today, it was starting to look like everybody in Gotham was going to be black except for Bruce Wayne, and I was dying of laughter. Freaking Commissioner Gordon's black, Catwoman's black.
I'm down.
Okay, that really begs a strange question for me: if everyone is going to be black in Gotham, is Batman operating in mainly predominantly black neighborhoods? Because he doesn't need to be more problematic.
Well, if you hear Robert Pattinson's comments on Batman today, he pretty much said Batman's not a hero. He's not really well adjusted.
That makes me want to throw up.
And he said it's going to be fun to play him because, I mean, I think there's some accuracy to that. Because this is a dude that's kind of isn't really processing this trauma in a healthy way.
Ooh.
That's fair.
That's understandable, actually. If they handle it in a very delicate way, I think that they could probably pull it off. And up until now, I've had some high hopes about this movie, but that sounds like it's towing the line just a little bit.
Yeah.
That could
And
be
that just
dangerous.
might be the actor's interpretation of it. It might not be what's in the script or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think these efforts to try to make movies like really psychological and edgy and all this kind of stuff like sometimes is too much. But
I get tired of it.
Yeah, like to the point of like everybody in Gotham is black. Like it would make a much more accurate Gotham.
It
would. Would it not?
It really
like,
would. Well, because when the New York Times spoke to Pattinson about his new Lighthouse movie that's coming out, the quote itself is, "It's a dope character. His morality is a little bit off. He's not the golden boy, unlike almost every other comic book character." Which, fair. I do. There was this funny gif on Twitter of like the Bad Girls Club or some shit, like where you had two girls like walking side by side, and it said, well, when Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz walking into DC after both being killed in Harry Potter movies. I was like, damn, that's fucked up.
Rough.
Like, so I just honestly. I think Zoe Kravitz, like, because not only I know everybody didn't watch the Divergent movies. I understand it was rip-off Hunger Games, and I understand you. I understand your points. You don't have to keep telling me, internet. But like Zoe Kravitz was really good in that movie, and then you see her in other projects. You see her in the Fantastic Beasts movie. And you're like, you have some promise. I want to see you do more things. And then you see her land Catwoman, and you're just like, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think she'll do a great job.
And we want all the coffee, damn it.
We always want coffee.
More coffee, but more original coffee, please. I want some original blend. Aaron, I see you dogging on Divergent. I see you.
Oh man, I swear on that on the too much coffee thing, I feel like that's what like segregationists used to say to black people trying to get in the jacuzzi. You know what I mean?
What?
Like I can't.
Wait.
Like
what?
If there were hashtags, if there were hashtags in the 60s.
I don't know. Well, they just say it like too much coffee, and then like get their towels and walk off angrily.
I never.
There's too much coffee in my public pool. I'm going to leave now.
There's too much coffee here.
There's too much coffee in this restaurant. I'm going to leave now. Like that's how we defuse a hashtag, folks. All right.
Oh my God.
So let's leave that interesting topic and go into some negatively charged coffee. And what I mean is we've had this situation this past week or so where we have Jane the Virgin actress Gina Rodriguez, who what song was she singing again?
It was, I think it was either a Fuji song or a Lauryn Hill song. I know for sure Lauryn Hill was in it.
It was a Fuji song. That's what I remember. Yeah, it was a Fuji song, and she said the part of the song where the N-word plays, and she says the N-word, and the internet lost its shit. And apparently, I don't know this woman. I don't know anything about Gina Rodriguez. Apparently, she has had controversy in the past when it comes to like having like hate for brown people, which
I mean,
fair. I don't know. Anybody know about this?
I think she's said comments in the past that people perceive as being anti-black.
Jasmine.
She a hater. That's what she is.
Yeah. That's my personal opinion. She said a lot of ignorant things. Oh, we lost Aaron.
Aaron, go. Come back. Jasmine, go ahead. There
she said a lot of ignorant things. A lot of the type of things that people like, kind of what do you call it? Like the the response to Black Lives Matter of being all lives matter. Like that's not a specific example of what she said, but she says stuff that's like that people perceive as very anti-Black. So yes and no. I find her very immature, and I've never found that she has learned from these missteps. So people have been waiting for her to mess up in a way like this, and I think that's probably why people are as vindicated.
Yeah, because like, okay, so there was a couple different tweets that I had read. That the one that stuck out to me the most was not only are people mad about her coming off the cuff with this, but you are being seen as anti-Black for the things you said in the past, plus this, and you being Spanish doesn't negate the fact that you were coming off very anti-Black. Like, and also there's different connotations of like anti-Blackness being a thing when it comes to certain people, and I'm not gonna get into that. But that's not we are not here to like pass judgment on that regard. But the idea of I thought this would be a great idea to bring opportunity to bring up the whole issue of I like the N-word in popular culture, like because we see from this example of the N-word being used in a Fuji song. We see it everywhere in hip hop. We see it everywhere we go in terms of that when it comes to regular Black culture. And we're not gonna go too deep with this because this is a whole episode and a half of content to talk about.
It's like 14 episodes.
But like in terms of just the mistake made here of just somebody from a different race saying it in a song. What is our thoughts on this process?
Well, I don't think we can necessarily separate it. We can't separate it because it is this thing that people are very excited about being a part of the culture, and I grew up with this, and people, all the people that I know that I grew up with used to say it, and it was just so this is a part of me. But when it comes to actually defending the actual people connected to the culture, they don't give a shit. And
That's
I
true.
can't really vibe with people that are more interested in words and clothing and music, but not really caring about the plights of the actual people who originated it.
This goes
So
back
like,
to
yeah,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, go ahead.
This goes back to that issue with Nikita Dragon wearing braids.
Oh yes.
Because in that instance, she, in her apology video, she went on to say all the things that she should have said, which is like people like us don't get to wear our hair like the way we are meant to, or I suppose can, because we are forced to cut our hair or to change it or don't get jobs because of it. And so she was able to delve into that culture and say that she wore it out of respect and stuff like that. I mean, it's different with the N-word. You shouldn't say the N-word. In my opinion, you just shouldn't say the N-word. But in like whether it's in a song or whatever, you should be able to understand that that is not your culture and you just shouldn't say it. Like if that's like the one rule, it's like enjoy the music, enjoy the dancing, whatever. Just don't say this one word. Why is that so hard?
Yeah,
like that's what I don't understand.
Ultimately, you're a guest in the culture. That's what it is.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a rule, and it seems strict. It's really super not, especially because I think that people just want what they can't have. And that's the whole mentality behind, because Black people are very protective of our culture. And that's why it's so popular now, is because if you're in, then you're cool and you're good and whatever. So, I mean, like I said earlier, her slipping up and saying the word on camera just means that she says it when the camera isn't on. And that's, in my personal opinion, not acceptable.
Okay.
It's not your word. It's not your word.
Now, let me throw a curveball at y'all real quick. So, 3 weeks ago, Fat Joe, old school rapper, we know about him. Terror Squad, Remy Ma. Oh, you don't? I'm sorry.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's cool. So, old school Cuban rapper, Fat Joe, came out the cut in an interview on Hot 97, and he had stated that he feels that all Latinos are black. He says Latinos are black. In Cuba, at one time, there was 8 million Cubans. 5 million, unfortunately, were slaves. 3 million were actually Cuban, and they integrated and had babies. And like because of this, he was feeling coming up with black culture in rap music. It made him feel more connected with black culture, and felt that black culture was just as much as part of Latino culture or Latinx culture, as I should say, than anything else. And that kind of throws a curveball into the idea of Gina Rodriguez, like using the word, which at the end of the day, it does not matter. It's not her word to use because that is a racial slur taken back by black people, and they can choose whether they feel it's right for them to say or not. That's not for us to hear to cast judgment. But I felt because I remembered it and thought it would be something like decent to add to the conversation. So
it's not really a curveball because that's pretty much factually inaccurate.
Ooh, damn! Slay up the gauntlet on the table.
Because let's be real, there's a lot of Latinos and Hispanic people that they identify as white.
That's true.
Yeah.
So here's the Oh, go ahead. I'll let you finish, Free.
Well, I think you're probably headed in the same direction I'm going. Now, where Fat Joe is from, first of all, Fat Joe's Puerto Rican, so that's another thing. And then
I was going to
the culture where Fat Joe is from, he grew up in New York, in the Bronx, and there's a lot of Afro-Caribbeans and Afro-Latinos and Latinas in New York.
Well, he actually continued on and said, same thing with Puerto Rico when you go to, I'm pronouncing this right, Loiza, you talk about Santeria that came from the motherland of Africa. Sometimes Latinos may even identify themselves with African and black culture more than black people. This ain't no crazy thing. Fat Joe ain't on crack. He know what he talking about.
I mean, absolutely.
Not all. Does he have himself in the third person?
Yeah, maybe he does.
I don't know.
So yeah, very much so. It is important for us to recognize history and the fact that there have been, there are probably many more African slaves who were taken to, the Caribbean and to South America than were ever brought here to the United States. And so people need to recognize that people that are from, Central and South America are a mixture of folks from Africa, the native and indigenous people of those areas, and sometimes the white Europeans that were there as well. And so, and then there are issues because there are folks that are obviously darker than me, but who will not, own up to the fact of their African heritage, because there's been so much stigma.
Though.
It's because of so much stigma and kind of internalizing the racism of it. Ooh. I put a link. I put the link in the in our Discord that is kind of a graphical representation of the transatlantic slave trade.
I'll include it in the show notes.
It is a visual way of you seeing that in the 315 years that there was actual slave trading, in the 20,000 some odd voyages, you'll see that many of the people went to the Caribbean, to Brazil, and to other places in South America. So
yes,
it's a thing, but also you can't say everybody. It's not everybody, but
everybody.
Well, I have a personal connection to the Caribbean diaspora because I'm Dominican invasion, and my grandfather, he came straight from the Dominican Republic, and if you look at him, you would that's a black man, but he won't say that to you, to his face, he won't. That's just how it is. It's weird. It's hard to explain. It's that seeing that internalized racism of him just trying to eliminate his blackness slowly but surely. I'm gonna pull up a picture of him because
that's different than not being black and claiming that you have access to the culture, though, because that's
very much so.
When if you are from those communities that do have predominantly black because of the transatlantic slave trade, then like you are Black and you have the choice to claim that or not. And I mean, like, it's not for us to be like, oh, if you have 2% Blackness in you, then you're not actually Black, especially when like
Plessy
that's what white
Ferguson.
people say.
Plessy Ferguson, everybody. If you have 1%, if you have 1% Black,
exactly,
you are categorized in America
exactly.
as Black. When you fill out an application, you are allowed to put Black on there if you have 1%. According to the U.S. Like government, that is.
Yeah, I have opinions about that, but we're not going to talk about. No, I don't want to delve into that. But my point is that you can choose, and you should be able to choose whether or not you identify as Black or partially Black or whatever, however you want to identify. That's different than not being Black and trying to have access to the culture that has been essentially whipped into the defensive culture that it is. So.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, dig it. I dig it.
I'm with Fat Joe.
Yeah, no Fat Joe. No, bad Fat Joe.
But, bad Fat Joe.
Oh my god. All right. So from there, I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah. There was the other thing that came up that if you weren't checking out like the news and whatnot, there was the issue that arose that Netflix and director Ava DuVernay, are being sued by a police interrogation firm because in the Netflix show freaking I'm blanking When They See Us, they had like specifically referenced and talked about the technique that was used to interrogate these young boys into confessing to their crimes in the original court case. The Reed technique, as somebody who has that the background in criminal justice that I do, and I know Aaron knows about it. I don't know, Marcus, I don't know how much you know about it with your background, but the Reed technique is this thing where, like, as police officers, they deprive you of sleep, they provide you of food, they deprive you of food and water, and they like keep you until you confess for your crimes. And they talk about it in a specific confrontation in the special, and now the firm who had originally developed the technique, it's very controversial, it's very criticized. They are trying to sue for damages and libel and slander, and I thought it was very interesting, not only for us to talk about, but to hint at the idea that next week we might even have an episode spotlighting that special. So, Aaron, you are I wanted to get your thoughts on this before I dive into my thoughts. How you feel?
So, if folks haven't seen it, they should. And I will warn folks that it is not for the faint of heart, and it is not the type of thing that, like, usually I'm a binger. I'll binge anything and everything. But I had to take breaks. So I feel like there's 5 or 6 episodes, and I had to take breaks after each one because it's so jarring to think that the story that's being told is not just a representation of something that could happen, but something that actually happened to real life people that spent decades in jail for something that they didn't do, but because of the techniques of the officers, these children, they were children at the time that they were being interrogated. These children, quote unquote, confessed to a crime that they couldn't have committed, that they didn't commit, and they spent years in jail and were traumatized, from those experiences, Yeah. So I just think that it's total nonsense that our justice system within gives leeway for these charlatans to try to sue Netflix,
See, I remember reading about the read technique because I was originally studying to be a forensic psychologist when I was in college before I moved into communications because I felt I moved away from my mom and realized that criminal justice isn't really for me, especially someone who's very much activist oriented and it feels that what's going on in the justice system is horrible. But seeing like just reading about the read technique when I was in psychology class and seeing the multiple cases, not just the case at hand with that it's on display in their special, but you see the multiple different cases of how people are confessing to crimes that they didn't commit, and a lot of them are racially charged. You see like these people being put behind bars for things they didn't do, or even just normal techniques that are used to lock people. It shows that the justice system we're dealing with is wrong, and the fact that these like Aaron said, these charlatans have the gall to think they can sue Netflix over this. Like what? How? I don't understand. Does anyone have any thoughts on these?
They said they're suing for slander.
If I go back to the original piece, is
Slander,
they're filing a federal lawsuit claiming that they were defamed, like in the miniseries.
Okay, I mean,
so defamation, federal defamation.
The fact that they spoke up in the first place just says that they did it.
Yeah,
I don't know what
most
you want
definitely
me to say to that. That's literally like a confession of guilt right there, and you like them doing this lawsuit makes them look way more guilty than if they had just stayed quiet.
I have the complaint and the court document pulled up right now. The case report. Article 1 says this complaint is an action brought by Reed to redress defamation and other related wrongful conduct by Netflix, the publisher of the 4-part limited series When They See Us, DuVernay writer, creator, and director. When They See Us, Reed is a company that for many years has provided training programs and other services in Illinois and many other states and abroad to law enforcement agencies, all branches of the U.S. military, other military, yada yada, etc. Reed's clients in the United States have included the yada yada. Okay, you know, basically, this is like, oh my god, so many freaking pages. I remember reading case law. I feel old now. Anyway,
yeah, right.
Okay, I don't want to hear from you, doctor.
So old, James. Oh my god.
Okay, I'm 24. I spent 2 years studying this stuff and it was horrible. But anyway, like basically, like yes, there's suing Netflix for defamation, and like Jasmine just said, like they're guilty. They know what they did, and like
maybe they should try to sue the city of New York 16 years ago when they got these people off and gave them millions of dollars. Maybe they should be mad at that because it's the truth. It's the truth. You're wrong.
And like you could possibly say, hey, maybe New York used your methods wrong, but it's what they thought they were doing. So like your name is on the docket there, sir.
All it is retaliation. That's what it is. It's retaliation.
That's exactly what it is.
It's exactly what it is.
Because they have nothing to stand on whatsoever. I hope they get laughed out of the fucking courtroom.
Pretty much, yeah. Like,
woo, Jazz is swearing.
She is living. Jasmine's living. I love it. Jasmine, speak your mind. Speak your mind.
That's it. That's all I gotta say.
You ain't got no more for them?
I avoided watching the series. I love Ava DuVernay, just for the record. I adore her. I watched A Wrinkle in Time and sobbed so hard because I've never seen anyone look like me until that movie. And
there's a lot of division about that movie.
I know. I know.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Racism?
Ooh,
damn. That's it right on the head. Damn.
I read that book.
Sexism, all the things.
So, someone who read the book and like that, then seeing the new the translation on screen, is there any thought process? Like, how much of a difference between the two is there?
There's quite a bit difference. I think mostly because the book isn't very visual and the movie is.
Okay.
There was a lot of I guess liberties taken, which I actually appreciated because it simplified the plot enough to actually make it a kid's book. The book is kid's movie. The book is really complicated. I read that thing at 12 and I was so lost, but it was a good book. And I had never thought that she would take Meg's insecurities over how she looked and how she acted, and translate that into what a Black girl would feel like. And it was incredible to see. And the movie itself is about love at its core, but not just romantic or not just familial. It was also self-love, and that was incredible to see. I've seen it a million times. I got out the movie and I sat in my car and I sobbed for like 10 minutes because I just was so floored by how much love and care was put into that for people like me, for kids like me. And I'm very, very protective of that movie because it rocked me.
Okay.
It really did.
Then I will have to go ahead and watch that then.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's very good.
I was afraid to, because all the critics were saying that it changed so much, and I was like,
I'll tell you what, every single one of those critics are white.
Ooh, damn! You out here throwing bombs today. I love it. I love it.
I was really upset because a lot of people were like, "Oh, I couldn't relate to it." It's like, it wasn't for you, obviously. Anyway,
I love this fire. I love it so much.
I apologize. I don't.
No, there is no need to apologize. I love it so much. Okay.
I was going to say that I avoided this series in particular because I knew it was going to be nothing but pain. And I feel like if we're going to delve into it, I'm going to watch it and it's going to be nothing but pain. So I do have opinions. I'm not sure I'm ready to share them yet. That's just where I'm at.
All right, fair enough. Well, then we might have to revisit this once I sit down and watch this movie, then. Mm-hmm. All right, once the rest of us do. I do before I let Marcus and Aaron go ham up in here. I do want to give like for anybody who is looking for a good little TV program to show their children. The newest episode special for I forget what the hell it was called. Marvel Secret Warriors. It's called Marvel Rising. It's Marvel Rising. Project Shuri, and it's basically the girls of Marvel Rising going to hang out with Shuri.
I love that show.
So I'm not the biggest fan of the animation because the same animation is on the shitty Spider-Man TV show. So I thought the show would have had so much more promise if it had better animation. But
wow,
that's my gripe. I like the voice acting. I love that they brought Dove Cameron back from Ultimate Spider-Man to play Gwen's. I was happy about that. So and also the theme song bumps. I love that theme song. Yeah, it's still on my Spotify playlist. So
it's a good show. It's very well written. I like it a lot.
Also, anything that has America Chavez, I'm down for. So
big mood.
So there's my recommendation. Go check out Project Shuri. It's on the Marvel HQ YouTube channel. What's Operations right now? Project Shuri. Still, go watch that if you need something cool for your kids to watch. So
also Raising Dion.
Oh yeah, we watched.
Yes.
I need to sit down and watch that.
I haven't seen it yet. Is it good? I've heard so many good things.
Raising Dion on Netflix.
I heard the kid was not a good actor.
Ooh.
I mean, he's a kid. He acts like a kid. I wanted to slap his ass. Hey, if you don't stop floating that mess over there, I just wanted to yell at him and just that's your couple times.
I have a recommendation.
You go ahead.
Wu-Tang and American Story on Hulu because Wu-Tang
I need to watch it. There's so much stuff I need to watch.
Wu-Tang is for the children. R.I.P. ODB.
Wu-Tang is for the children. Oh my god. Okay, so now that we got through our random recommendations, so the topic that we're gonna dig into is that Aaron and Marcus both went and saw Joker. Now I haven't had time. I barely even want to see this movie as is. But you wait, Jasmine, did you see it too?
No, I said mood.
Oh, mood.
I'm not interested in seeing it, but go ahead.
Fair point. So you fellas were already not feeling too hot about the Joker movie to begin with after our previous conversations. So how do the two of you feel about the Joker movie having now seen it?
Well, I mean, when I first heard they were making a Joker movie, I was like, why? And then when I heard about the talent involved, I was like, okay, maybe. Then I saw a trailer and I was like, I'm in on it. And then I saw, a lot of the early reviews saying how great it was and how good Joaquin Phoenix performance was, and I was like, okay, I'm even more in on it. And then I started to hear all this discourse, and I was like, okay, I mean, I think a lot of the points are relevant, but I think it got to the point where it almost seemed like people were hoping something would happen so they could their outrage could be justified, and I got a little turned off by that. And I think there was so much discourse and back and forth on both sides. And I'm like, the movie hasn't even been out yet. None of you have seen it. Why don't you see the movie or not see the movie and just shut the fuck up?
Exactly.
That's how I started to feel. But I went and saw the movie and I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I really liked it a lot. Joaquin Phoenix's performance is incredible. He deserves, all the award nominations. One thing that kind of made me feel dirty about liking it is Todd Phillips has exposed himself as a huge asshole. And it's just his whole press run, he just seems like an entitled jerk. And it sucks because I really like The Hangover too. I fucking love that movie and Old School, but this dude just seems like a huge jerk. But he made a really good movie. Now, of course, I know I don't want to give away, kind of the argument Aaron's going to present, but I do understand the criticism. I understand a lot of it was just violence for violence sake, and that a character like the Joker doesn't really need an origin, and I agree with all that. But for what the movie was, I really liked it. I liked how, Gotham was kind of much its own character. The time period was pretty much its own character. I like how much research Joaquin Phoenix did, especially on this. I didn't even know there was a real illness that's like a laughing syndrome where you just uncontrollably laugh. And the way his laugh will stick with me for a long time because it was just a chilling laugh. And a lot of times he was laughing, he was not really laughing, and you just couldn't control it as a character. And I just thought the way he pulled that off was just amazing. Now, I think his views towards women were very much, go kind of head towards that incel type of mentality. But I don't think that was. I think that's not what the director was trying to entail. That's who he is as a person. I just think he was becoming so sick in the mind that's kind of what he was being pushed towards. Not like saying there was some outside force that was pushing him. He was pushing himself there. But overall, I thought there was a potential twist that I'm glad didn't really pay off, because if it did, I would have hated the movie.
Oh, you mean that whole thing where everyone thought that Joker was going to be related to the Waynes?
I mean, spoiler alert.
You are not good at that.
Hey, it wasn't real, so it's fine. That's my out there.
I mean, well, theories are saying it was never really paid off upon, so it's still open-ended. So we don't know if that was true or not.
Oh,
I don't believe it. From my take of it, I don't believe it was true. But if it was, I would have hated the movie, and everything I'm saying about it, I take back. And of course, they shoot in a well-worn-to-death comic trope for no reason than to have a connection to the character of Batman, and it was completely unnecessary, but they had to put it in there, of course. But that's how I feel about it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. I thought, the world didn't end because the movie came out. Of course it didn't. And I think, despite all that discourse, you either liked it or you didn't. And then at the end of the day, that's what it is.
I can respect that.
Mr. Jones,
Okay.
Dr. Jones, speak to these people.
Okay, I'll say what was good about the movie because this is going to be short. So
Oh my god.
I feel like yes, like it's like the acting was good. The acting was good in the movie. Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor. He's already kind of proved himself as that in previous films he's been in, and there are a lot of other good actors that were in the film, and they did their thing, and so I can't say it was a terrible movie as far as the way it was constructed and the way that it was shot, and it's a good movie. My hope and my wish is that I would feel like it was a better movie if it wasn't the Joker. Like if this was a movie about some other crazy person, or if this was like a completely different type of movie, like not a comic book movie, maybe I would like it more. But because it's trying to like put itself in the world, but not in the world of Batman and some already established character, it annoys me, you know. And I feel that, you know, exactly what Marcus said initially is I didn't want this movie. I didn't want this movie, and I don't know who the hell did. Like why did Joker need an origin? Why did he need this origin? Um, why is this something happening? And also I feel like the attitude of any actor or director or creator that says, well, I don't want this to be like a comic book movie, or I don't want this to be, well, go make a non-comic book movie.
Ooh.
Go create your own characters.
The doctor is
and
speaking
go do your own thing.
God.
Go do your own thing.
God.
If you don't want to be a part of this, don't be a part of this. Don't piggyback off of somebody else's creation and then change it and warp it into something that it shouldn't be. I do agree with Marcus in saying that the idea that this was going to be some sort of chaos bringer that was going to be the end of the world and incite people to do things that they wouldn't do, I think is like the central problem with the entire movie. Because it tries to make Joker this kind of sympathetic character. Like, oh, this all explains it. This is the reason why he's the way he is, and that's not what Joker is about. He's supposed to be. You don't understand him. That's why he is what he is. It's because you don't understand him. Because he does things for no reason whatsoever, just to make himself laugh. Like, to create and make it about, like, you know, his childhood and, you know, how he's kicked down by the world and all these other things. Like, I just feel like that is not what we need from Joker at all. You know, there are a lot of characters and villains that, like, particularly villains that, yes, like, you know, complicated origins and reasons why they do what they do that almost make them like, hey, maybe they're kind of right if they weren't so extreme. Like a Magneto, or, you know,
Magneto makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, Magneto makes perfect sense, but we don't need that for Joker. Joker is not that kind of character. And
Right.
also I feel like we've just seen kind of movies like these, like with the, you know, I'm bad at comedy and my life sucks. Like I feel like we've had movies like these before, and like it feels like a lot of it too is a ripoff of Taxi Driver and
That's what a lot of people say. That, like,
There it
it's,
is.
it's Taxi Driver,
There it
even with
is.
the Robert De Niro cameo. Like that. That's almost like the nail on the head.
So yeah, like there's just things about it that I'm just like so annoyed about, and I feel like I unfortunately will probably see it again just to maybe I might see it again and feel differently, but like I've been stewing in it and thinking about it and talking to people about it, and I'm just so annoyed by all the things that I just talked about. So
See, I probably won't see it again. I'll probably buy the Blu-ray. But to Aaron's point, I don't think that movie needs a sequel. I don't want to see that Joker interact with Batman in the new Batman movies if they're gonna bring the Joker back.
And I didn't even get to that part. That part. And that's a whole other.
A lot of people are saying this is their back door to be like, "Hey, Jared Leto's not the real Joker. This is the real Joker."
No,
It's two of the three. Wink, wink.
Oh God!
Because there's actually a theory for this movie that the Joaquin Phoenix isn't even the real Joker. That he just inspired the real Joker. That's one of the theories to the movie. But the director and Joaquin Phoenix say they don't want to make a sequel, so I believe them. This movie doesn't.
Well,
need a
no,
sequel.
I just saw something. I saw an interview a couple of days ago, and Joaquin Phoenix, I think he just got really high on himself, and I think that's sometimes what the Joker character does to people. Is I think it kind of did it to Heath Ledger, where like he got too into the character, right?
Yeah, he went into a dark place.
He got into I think Joaquin Phoenix got into a dark place, and he got really happy about it. And he said he was talking about how like on set it just felt so great, and you know I was so great. It was so great being in the character. Sometimes we would just shoot for hours and just catch whatever. And you know I don't do sequels to my movies, and usually, but like I feel like we're having some conversations to see about like what could we potentially do with this character again, or I'm like, what? Don't.
That's awful.
No.
Oh, the Batman fan in me is screaming.
It doesn't need a sequel. It doesn't need a sequel, and I think everything that I like about the first one will fall apart if they try and continue.
Yes, because they're gonna try to do it again and again because
Right.
That's what capitalism does to you.
they get drunk
This
off
is
of
true.
it. Yes,
This is
yes.
I think
I don't-
like a huge. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, I think one like weird thing that's not really being acknowledged about this movie is it kind of feels like the return of the slasher gore flick, but with the weird Infinity War twist. Whereas I'll scream it till the cows come home that Thanos was the protagonist of Infinity War, the same way Joker is the protagonist of Joker.
That's
So,
100%
but this
true.
I like
right,
that.
so I'm thinking we're getting like a horror type slasher setting, but when you use someone like the Joker like it's exactly like Aaron said. He's supposed to be nebulous. His only drive is for a laugh, and good luck trying to guess what's going to do that for him. You know what I mean? Only Joker knows that. So to have him be pushed in this weird like he turned into an incel, and incels are psycho type of corner. Because that's what I got from it, and that's never been the Joker. So I agree that was pretty annoying, honestly. And so like what it turned into is now he's like this sad case, and now to evolve that, because I never even thought about how he would interact with anyone else. Could you imagine Joaquin Phoenix trying to do a combat sequence against Batman, like ever?
Not this version of the Joker. Batman would knock him out with one punch.
Right, any Batman you can think. George Clooney Batman, like with his credit card.
Hey, I can the back credit card. That was amazing.
And on top of that, this version of the Joker is nowhere near clever enough to even pose a psychological threat to Batman. That's why I don't need to see them interact.
Hey, Marcus.
And
Right.
how about this? For the Matt Reeves movie, let's just leave Joker alone for a little while. Let's just let the character sit down. There are other excellent Batman villains that can be used.
Exactly.
Let's let the character breathe for a little bit.
Hey, Marcus.
This easily could have been Zaz, and I would never know the difference.
Travis, you're ruining my joke.
Hey,
Marcus, I have a question for you.
What's up?
What killed the dinosaurs?
A meteor?
The Ice Age!
Oh, how did I not see that coming?
Oh my god!
Hey man, you reference Batman and Robin. I gotta do it.
Oh my goodness! How did I not?
The Ice Age.
Hey, freeze!
Never interrupt me during the movie.
Cool party.
That's the only good part of that movie is his.
Nah,
his
man.
part.
No, Poison
His
Ivy.
iPhone.
I need
Batman
you
and
to
Robin.
chill.
Oh, bro. Yes.
Bat nipples and everything.
Yes.
God. Please,
All right,
I've watched that from my psyche.
No, we're gonna have to watch it. Blerd Grounds versus Batman and Robin. I'm down. But no.
Oh, yes.
And I will go to the grave saying Batman Forever is a good movie. Though. Fight me.
I need to rewatch that. Okay. Well, we are going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Blerd Grounds. We will be back next week with some in-depth talk. We might even do a whole special on Now They See Us. But until next week, we are glad to be back after a week off. We are back at it. We got some great things coming up, especially like our special project for the winter finale. In fact, you know what? We gonna tease y'all. We're not gonna say nothing in the episode, but I'm gonna drop a little tune for you, a little tease at the end of the episode. So you will get to enjoy that if you stuck around for the whole episode and get to enjoy a little beat for you. And we will see you guys this December with our project that we have coming up for our winter finale. But we will catch you folks next week right here on Blerd Grounds. Does anyone have any final thoughts before we peace out?
Even if they made Joaquin Phoenix beat Batman in any fight sequence, I would delete it from my headcanon.
I'm still not going to see the movie.
Anybody else have any final thoughts?
Yeah,
Anything,
watch
man.
Joker at your own risk.
I liked it.
I like that you liked it. There's always going to be someone.
Hashtag all the
As long
coffee.
as long as that doesn't mean I'm like a sociopath for liking
Oh
it.
no, you fine, man.
No.
You fine.
I mean, I
You
still
can acknowledge
like
it's a
it,
good
but
movie. You can still
Right,
acknowledge
still-
it's a good movie, just,
Yeah.
on its own. It's not a comic book movie.
Yeah, there
Just
you go.
pretend it's not the Joker. It's someone else.
Yeah,
It's Victor Zaz.
But he's got to cut himself, damn it. All right. Also, hashtag all the coffee. All right. We will catch you all the
Yay.
coffee. All the coffee. And we will catch you folks next week. But also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Blerd Grounds. Don't forget to check out the website on Comics Ground every weekday for new previews, reviews, and opinion pieces about the comic books and geek media. And don't forget to follow the website on Comics Ground on Twitter and Instagram. We will be back next week with a brand new episode. Also, teaser, we will have a special Halloween episode this year for Blerd Grounds, where our social media manager Andre Drew will be stopping in to hang out with us as we talk about Black people in horror movies. So get ready for that November 1st, because we will be recording on Halloween for you folks. So you get excited about that. We will
It's gonna be scary, y'all.
A lot of unnecessary death, I predict.
Yes, very much so. Like as Freddy Krueger once said, dark meat.
Welcome to prime
that
time.
sign said it all right there. We will catch you
Welcome to
folks
prime
next
time,
time
bitch.
right here on Blerd Grounds. Peace out.
On their Blerd crusade.